anger only growing at the death in police custody of George Floyd.
Another big easing of restrictions for Aussies tomorrow. But is this all happening way too fast?
We unpack the historic manned SpaceX mission with our favourite Astro commander, Chris Hadfield.
Plus, she's storming the charts once more. Don't miss our exclusive with Lady Gaga. This is The Sunday Project.
Good evening to you and welcome to The Sunday Project. The usual crew is all here, including Tommy. And Tommy, I know you're so excited. Tomorrow's June 1. A lot of restrictions getting lifted tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm very excited, at least until I hear PVO's voice then in the intro saying, is it all happening too fast? Shut up, mate.
I knew that's what you would think. I knew that's exactly what you would think.
Restrictions are easing. How good?
Exactly. Well, it is a big news day. Over to you, PVO.
It is a really big news day. We're going to go to the United States first, where protests and riots have spread like wildfire right across the nation following the death in police custody of an unarmed black man. Military soldiers have been brought in to try and quash some of the proceedings, but so far, to little effect.
On the streets of more than 30 cities, violent clashes between protesters and police. Years of simmering unrest catalysed by the death of African-American man George Floyd. One officer now charged with his murder after his final moments at the hands of police were caught on video.
I'm mad as hell. I woke up wanting to see the world burn down yesterday because I'm tired of seeing black men die.
More vehicles and buildings set ablaze, and at least 2 more are dead as the violence escalates, with police seen firing on reporters and driving into crowds.
There has been no provocation, Joshua. The police pulled into this intersection unprovoked right into the middle of the crowd.
State and city leaders are reacting with a mix of empathy and anger.
You are disgracing our city. You are disgracing the life of George Floyd and every other person who has been killed in this country. We are better than this.
That anger spreading to the nation's capital, where the White House went into temporary lockdown as protesters gathered at the gates.
My administration will stop mob violence and will stop it cold.
Strict curfews have been imposed in at least 25 cities, and more than 8 states have called in the National Guard. Both sides tonight asking the same question: how long can this go on?
Max Nestorak is a Minnesota journalist who lives just a block away from the protests. Max, I understand you're hunkering down in your home tonight, but you are right in the heart of where these protests began. What's it like there at the moment?
You know, it's odd being inside and hearing bangs, hearing helicopters overhead all night long. What the neighbors on my block have done have been actually to set barricades just of old furniture and caution tape, construction tape across the street just to stop people from driving down it. And this is something that's been happening all across the city, of neighbors getting organized to try to protect themselves, protect their homes, because there's little faith and trust in the National Guard, even though there's a historic number of soldiers in the city right now trying to quell the protests.
Max, does it feel like America is at a bit of a tipping point at the moment that could actually bring about real change?
It's so difficult to say, and it's so hard to know what the future is going to be, you know, and I think a lot of people hope so, but this is a scene that's played out in Minneapolis and cities across America before, with the killing of unarmed black men at the hands of police. As far as being a tipping point, you know, every day this week it felt like things simply could not get worse than the day before, and yet they have.
Max, you sound very measured, but if we put the journalist part of you to the side for a second, as an American, are you scared?
Earlier today, my partner and I, we packed a bag and we brought it up to his parents' place, which is outside the city in a suburb. He told me to bring, the things that are most important to me if our house were to be burned down. And honestly, I wasn't even in the headspace to understand what I should bring. We're safe now, but at the same time, there are videos from tonight of people standing on their porch watching the National Guard troops walk in. The troops tell people to get inside their homes and then proceed to shoot people with rubber bullets standing on their porch. So it is a scary time for everybody right now.
Well, Max, you stay as safe as you can. We're all thinking about you and everyone over there. Thanks very much for speaking to us.
Thanks you so much for having me on.
The whole situation is heartbreaking. We'll be back after the break. Don't go anywhere.
Coming up, as Australia opens up, how many of us could be carrying COVID-19 without any symptoms? And Microsoft is swapping out its human journalists for AI bots. Not that I'm nervous or anything. You're watching The Sunday Project.
You are one of the most inspiring cooks to ever cook in this kitchen.
But now it's time to say goodbye.
Oh my God.
When did life start to move this quickly? Somehow we made it to 6:30 p.m. with no real idea where our 9-to-5s went. Isn't it time to rethink our approach and explore solutions that stretch beyond the medicine cabinet? See, at Panadol, we're making it our mission to help more Australians focus on staying well. Sure, it's a big conversation to have, but now's the time to start. Together, let's rethink care.
Are you thinking of separating? Do you know where you stand? Pearson's lawyers can advise you on all aspects of divorce and separation, including financial, property, parenting and intervention orders. Contact Pearson's lawyers to know where you stand.
Get back to the game you love with a Drummond Golf sale. Get 10 to 20% off push buggies and bags, irons and iron sets, a minimum 20% off gloves and apparel, and a minimum 10% off packages. Now on at Drummond Golf.
Just tell us what you want.
No more confusing offers!
Okay.
Just low prices!
Okay.
And energy with a clean conscience.
It's okay. Sure. Not a problem.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
Take charge and switch to Tango Energy today.
At Coles, you can save on indulgent ice cream, like Buller's Murray Street range, including caramel maple and macadamia, made with fresh Aussie milk. Right now, the entire range is half price. Coles, good things, great value.
Get up to 50% off everything during Bedshed Stocktake Sale. Mattresses, bedroom suites, kids' furniture and more. All up to 50% off. Plus, all this weekend, take a further 10% off. No one's better in the bedroom.
Customers in Victoria told us on average they saved $218 by switching their comprehensive car insurance, and on average they saved $229 by switching their combined home and contents insurance online to Budget Direct. So who should you switch to? Budget Direct. Insurance solved.
Save a massive 20 to 50% off store-wide at Spotlight. Yes, 20 to 50% off Manchester home decor, fabrics, craft, party curtains and blinds store-wide. So decorate it, celebrate it and create it for less. Sale starts tomorrow. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
Agent LaCroix, I'm on my way.
Aussie Julian McMahon is brilliant in the brand new series.
Our job is not to bring justice to the most wanted. Our job is to bring the most wanted
to justice.
New FBI Most Wanted, tonight following MasterChef.
This program brought to you by Panadol. Together, let's rethink care. Sign up for Mindful Month with Smiling Mind by June 1 at rethinkcare.com.au.
Welcome back. You're watching The Sunday Project.
All right, let's take a look now at today's top stories. More coronavirus restrictions are being eased from tomorrow in Queensland, New South Wales and South Australia. Even though the source of a new Melbourne cluster hasn't been identified, the rules are also being relaxed in Victoria. To ensure they're still enforced, Victoria's Health Minister has extended the state of emergency until June 21.
It's really important that Victorians understand that this pandemic is not over. This battle is not yet won. The virus is still with us. It is highly contagious.
The federal government insists it wasn't being negligent in its handling of the robo-debt crisis, even though it's repaying $720 million to hundreds and thousands of Australians. The then Social Services Minister has refused to apologise for the system's flaws, simply labelling the bungle as unfortunate.
Well, there's litigation ongoing, and that litigation argues, amongst other things, negligence, and we don't concede that.
A 42-year-old man has been arrested after allegedly holding a 26-year-old woman at knife point for nearly 7 hours in Brisbane today. He barricaded himself inside an Everton Hills home. The local area was put into lockdown. He surrendered to police. The woman was released unharmed. And dozens of journalists have been sacked because they're being replaced at Microsoft by robots. They're no longer needed to write and edit the MSN news page because artificial intelligence software will do it for them. It'll use algorithms to select the best articles and photos.
Jeez. Tell you what, print journalists, then TV journalists, then people who are on TV news shows who aren't journalists but have great hair. I'm worried, guys. I really am.
I think the real surprise is that MSN still exists.
Yeah,
like,
true.
who knew that? Not me.
It's ridiculous, though, isn't it? Am I wrong?
Well, the problem is if they're using algorithms, it'll just be what gets the greatest number of clicks. So Welcome to Homepage is just full of Trumps and Kardashians.
Yep.
Unless the robots take over completely, and then they'll all be about hardware.
Someone's been watching Terminator
and how bad
too much.
humans are.
Yeah, exactly.
I also think it's weird that PVO, think it's ridiculous. You wouldn't happen to be the one robot amongst us. Yeah.
I know you think I'm robot-like, but anyway, now I feel under even more pressure to read this auto cue the right way, or else I'll be out of a job. The next big easing of restrictions will go ahead at midnight tonight,
Very
even
robotic.
as some experts warn that it will lead to an increase in COVID-19 cases. Now, a big area of concern is people who don't show symptoms. And this week, New South Wales Health revealed it has no idea how many of the youngest cases even became infected.
No, that was good.
Out of 81 cases of COVID-19 in children in New South Wales, the source of 1 in 4 of those cases is a mystery. This revelation is one of several worrying signs of how the disease can effectively spread by stealth.
It wasn't clear right at the beginning that there was asymptomatic infection, but the evidence is fairly overwhelming now. We need more research on exactly how the transmission occurs from asymptomatic people.
But it turns out those floating petri dishes we know as cruise ships can be super useful to scientists trying to answer this question. Check this out. In mid-March, an Antarctic expedition cruise left Argentina carrying 128 passengers and 95 crew. On their 8th day at sea, the first case of COVID was detected and the ship was immediately locked down. On day 20, all 217 people still on board were tested. 128 of them were confirmed positive. But here's the kicker, only 24, or around 1 in 5 of them, ever had any symptoms. What we don't yet know for sure is how these asymptomatic carriers contribute to community transmission. But scientists agree our best defence against a second wave is thorough tracing and testing of everyone who's had contact with a confirmed Aussie case.
So contact tracing is really important, and the quarantine that goes with it.
What we need to know is who's got the virus, irrespective of whether they've got symptoms or not, because if you've got the virus, then you can have the ability to transmit it to somebody else.
Well, Dr Nick Coatsworth is helping steer Australia through all this as our Deputy Chief Medical Officer. Dr Nick, in light of the latest research, how worried are you about asymptomatic carriers here in Australia?
There is a certain number of people who will be walking through the community potentially without any symptoms. We think that number's very small. We think they're less likely to transmit. I think from a testing point of view, it doesn't change our strategy. We have to get the best bang for our buck for the testing, and that is by testing people who have symptoms.
So, Nick, if 1 in 4 cases in children in New South Wales is a mystery, what's your advice to parents who right now are feeling nervous about their kids being back at school?
As a parent, I completely understand that nervousness. I guess I'm reassured by the comparatively low number of children that get COVID-19 compared to adults. And all the statistics that we've seen, all the research that we've done has shown that there's very few cases of onward transmission, even when we do see cases of COVID-19 in schools. So that is good news.
We're seeing the restrictions getting lifted, but they're getting lifted more quickly and differently than what was agreed to at National Cabinet, the 3 weeks, 3 stages approach. Is that the politicians not listening to you guys anymore?
I think that, you know, we set out a plan where there would be 3-week reviews, and it's very clear that states can move through these steps and liftings of restrictions at different paces. I think the issue, though, is the time that is given to see what the effects of those lifting of restrictions does on the number of cases of COVID-19. So we said very clearly in the 3-step plan that we wanted a minimum of 3 weeks before any further restrictions were lifted. And I think that is the minimum amount of time that any of us should wait.
Doc, some experts are warning of a spike in the number of cases as restrictions are eased, but surely that is to be expected on some level.
Well, Tommy, we have to expect it on some level. We're not going for a strategy of nationwide elimination of COVID-19, and it should not be of concern to the public when, you know, if you do have a slight increase in numbers, as Western Australia did this week, but entirely attributable to six sailors on a sheep ship.
Did you realise the sentence six sick sailors on a sheep ship is not as easy to say as you made it sound?
Well, I've been practising for this moment for the past 3 days, so I'm glad it came out okay.
Mate, I just want you to know it didn't go unnoticed. I was like, whoa, yeah, Doc.
Dr. Nick Coatsworth, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, PVO.
Hey guys, over at Sunrise, the great man James Tobin was out on the streets for his weekend weather. And you guys know if you're out on the streets at the moment and sometimes you forget just for a split second about social distancing, see if you can pick that split second where James Tobin realised he may have forgotten.
Well, you look resplendent.
Okay. A ye olde gentleman here.
First,
okay. And just go to the weather. And what happens when we come back from the weather? Might be time to pop down for the ye olde COVID check.
All right, we'll stick around. Plenty more projects still to come.
Coming up, one woman has created her own isolation Barbie dolls and the internet is loving them. And you can count on Susie to find plenty more reasons to smile and feel good this Sunday. You're watching The Sunday Project.
When we look back on these days, let's remember what we found. Because when all we have is time, what we find is each other. We're here to support you, and we can, together.
Go on.
At Devondale, we believe great milk comes from cows that graze free.
Make your home beautiful with furniture from Harvey Norman. We have a huge range of quality choices and exclusive designs. Fabric and leather lounges, flexible family-friendly modulars, manual or powered recliners, sofas with the latest smart tech built in, dining suites to complement a classic or bold contemporary look, plus the very best of Australian-made lounge and dining furniture, customisable to suit your style. Shop smart, shop safe in our spacious stores and take advantage of 60 months interest-free. Available now at Harvey Norman, your furniture specialist.
Being stuck at home doesn't have to mean being stuck for things to do. Because if you take a look around, there's inspiration everywhere. Ryobi One Plus. One plus you equals endless possibilities. Available at bunnings.com.au.
Cookie people, cream people, crumbs people, clean people, twist people, lick people, dunk people, munch people. It's time to play, people. If you twist, lick, dunk, then you're my people. We are Oreo people.
Head to Macca's if a little treat is what you need and grab 24 chicken McNuggets for just $9.95 or a large sundae for only $3. For your Macca's run, contact free, we'll be here.
Let's do it, baby. It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get best tote on all exotics on every race across all Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide races. PointsBet.
Needs a friend, one that's true to the end. When you need me, I'll come through.
For the sake of those around you, eat a bit more Aussie fruit, veg and nuts. It's the good mood food.
It's Gogglebox, like you've never seen before.
Kim Jong-un has resurfaced.
I'm really happy now. It's really made my
day.
And this time, it's celebrities on the couch.
Ruining my sex drive for the next 50 years.
Good.
It's the new series coming to Thursdays.
Oh, that's James Brown.
No, James Brown is dead.
Oh.
So what will the famous and their families say about what's on the box?
Take it off! Take it off!
Who's the is that?
New Celebrity Gogglebox USA is coming to Thursdays on 10.
The project is brought to you by CommBank. We're here to support you however we can. We can. Together.
Welcome back to the Sunday Project.
Well, the New South Wales government's pulled the pin on plans to upgrade Sydney's ANZ Stadium. The $810 million earmarked for the Homebush reno will now be diverted to fast-tracking smaller infrastructure projects. It's hoped they'll create tens of thousands of jobs in the aftermath of COVID-19. And an American woman's used her time in ISO to come up with a new set of Barbie dolls to show what life's really like during a pandemic. They include pandemic hero Barbie, bread-making Barbie and home salon Barbie, who comes complete with greying hair. There's even a Zoom Ken featured in the quarantine range.
You can order them here in Australia, which is good news. Only problem is they do become Hotel Barbie for 14 days after they arrive. So it's a bit of an issue. And in fairness, I mean, I was doing home haircut Barbie from like all through the late 90s.
Oh, yes. So that's what we all did.
It's not new.
Hey, guys, I don't know if you saw this, but opposition leader Anthony Albanese was out in the open today to give a press conference. And you know how things have just been going great for Albo as of late? Well, that continued.
Unless that happens, we will see more tradies queuing up at Centrelink than doing what they should be doing, which is working and looking after their families and contributing to the nation. Happy to take questions.
Hang on, before you do that, sorry, Mr. Albanese, can you just get out of that sun?
Can we move it back up? Yeah, thanks, guys.
Poor Albo was thinking, but I barely get any time in the sun as is. Anyway, sun is out of his face, so let's get on with it, please.
And what that does is feed into each other and create, say, a rolling mall going down in the wrong direction.
Sorry, guys. I'm just going to have to change this again. I've just got audio breakup.
You're right. No, I understand.
No, hides it well here too. Yeah, no, that's fine. OK. And now all of those issues are sorted. He finally came back to wrap things up, and finally that went smoothly.
And we have no action from the government up to now.
Get him, Albo.
When we acted during the global financial crisis, it was effective. It made a difference. We kept Australia out of recession.
Hang on. He's a lecturer under the flood path. Oh, God. Is a plane going to land on him? Hang on. Is there any questions?
Yeah, hang on. There's a plane, mate, so I can't hear you.
That's probably ScoMo in his private jet while Albo still has to use the cab charge.
Well, things can't always be as perfect as the Albanese world, but things around the world have actually been pretty grim at the moment. But there is still some good stuff out there if you look hard enough, and we did. This furry little bundle of joy is one very special arrival. She's the first koala joey to be born at the Australian Reptile Park since the summer's devastating bushfires. Keepers have named her Ash as a sign of hope for the future of Australia's wildlife. And the park reopens tomorrow after being in COVID shutdown, if you'd like to say hi. Now, you may laugh, but this proud pooch is a newly minted Guinness World Record holder. Like all dogs, Golden Retriever Finley loves tennis balls, but unlike any other, he can hold 6 of them in his mouth at once. He's been working at it from a young age with no help from his humans. When they found out the existing record was 5, they decided to get Finley the recognition he deserved.
You got 6, what a good boy.
And prepare to be turned to mush, watching Jean and Walter Willard reunite after being kept apart by America's COVID lockdown. The couple's been married for 70 years, but recently 89-year-old Jean has needed special care at a dedicated facility.
You okay? No, I miss you. Oh, I miss you so much.
91-year-old Walter visited every day until the pandemic meant he couldn't. Back together at last, the adorable pair just couldn't keep their hands off each other.
Oh, honey, I'm so happy to see you. Okay.
Oh. Very uplifting. Very uplifting. We're going to take a quick break, though. We'll be back in a moment.
Love really hurts without you. Love really...
Wonderful.
I love it.
Ice cream.
We want you to blow our minds with amazing combos.
In the most emotional episode of the season, which one of your favourites will go?
It has been an utter pleasure to watch you cook the most incredible creations, but now it's time to say goodbye.
The ice cream elimination. Next.
Introducing BP Rewards. Earn BP points to spend in store.
BP Rewards.
Or get dollars off fuel.
BP Rewards.
Or choose to earn Qantas points.
Totally BP Rewards.
Start earning today. Your rewards, your way.
What if I get coronavirus?
How do I do my rehab now?
Why is it so hard to get out of bed? COVID-19 is impacting us all differently, which is why we've introduced Medibank COVID-19 Health Assist. With direct access to hundreds of healthcare experts, eligible members can receive health advice and support from their homes at no extra cost. Visit medibank.com.au to see how we're providing better support for our members.
Anaconda's massive 20 to 50% off store-wide sale starts tomorrow. Huge savings on camping gear, bikes, kayaks, fishing gear, clothing, footwear and more. Some exclusions apply. 20 to 50% off sale starts tomorrow at Anaconda.
As credit to you, here's up to $120 credit from us. Add any selected month-to-month mobile plan with Vodafone and get the credit you deserve over 12 months. Find out more at vodafone.com.au. Ready?
We're ready to get back out there again. As we do, it's up to all of us to stay COVID safe. Anytime you leave your house, wash your hands regularly. Keep physical distance where you can. Have the COVID Safe app on your phone. And importantly, if you're feeling sick, you need to stay at home and get tested. Together, we can reduce the risk of a second wave. Stay COVID-free and do the 3.
Authorised by the Chief Medical Officer, Canberra.
With Allianz Comprehensive Car Insurance, we guarantee all the repairs we authorise.
Hey, good to go.
Looks great. Thanks.
Get that? Leon's feeling. Call or search for a quote today.
This is a Nature Valley checklist. Whole grain oats? Yes. Artificial colours and flavours? No. Delicious ingredients? Yes. Preservatives? No. Big taste? Yes. Nature Valley. Get more out.
In these interesting times, everyone's coping with lockdown in their own way.
No, this is great. This reminds me of how I used to give evidence in court cases.
Okay.
This is fantastic.
So lock it on to Ursula, Lloyd and Celia as they join Ed and Sam on new Have You Been Paying Attention? Monday.
If you've just joined us, this is the Sunday Project.
Well, let's get straight to the big story of the day. And the US is in the grip of widespread protests and riots tonight across more than 30 major cities. 2 more people have died in the chaos after the killing of George Floyd exposed fault lines that run right to the heart of American democracy.
The American dream is built on belief in equality.
Our nation is grieving the murder of George Floyd and every black person who has been killed by an unjust and unfair system.
Belief in the rule of law.
Y'all took an oath to serve and protect our communities.
Get in the hole!
Officers like this tarnish the badge.
Belief in a free press.
Whoa. Why I'm under arrest, sir.
Are you okay?
I'm getting shot! I'm getting...
Katie, are you okay?
And above all, freedom from tyranny.
I will not allow angry mobs to dominate.
What we've got from the White House is the glorification of violence against American citizens.
Right now, America is suffering a crisis of faith. Communities are tearing themselves apart.
You are disgracing our city.
Just because there's a curfew does not mean we're not still going to fight for what we believe in.
And while the blame game escalates,
the voices of peaceful protest are being hijacked by violent radical elements.
They're trying to make the story the reaction to murder rather than murder.
And even elected officials storm the barricades.
I want to make this a parade, not a protest.
Extremists fan the flames.
We have seen things like white supremacist organizers who have posted things on platforms about coming to Minnesota.
All in the middle of a pandemic that's killed more than 100,000, infected nearly 2 million, and revealed a deeply divided society. There have been 40 million new applicants for unemployment benefits in just 10 weeks. 1 in 5 households are struggling to feed themselves. And food banks are being stripped bare. America's fragile social safety net was already near breaking point. Right now, it looks, for all purposes, to be broken.
People are tired, sad, angry, and desperate for change.
The CBS radio host Michael Williams is in Washington, D.C. Michael, this appears not to be purely about George Floyd's death anymore. This looks to be a complete explosion of anger towards everything going wrong with America right now.
Yeah, I think that's a really astute observation there. Look, it started off and was triggered by an act that everyone could see was an unjust act, was a violent act, was a murderous act, just right in front of your face. But, you know, in the same way that I compare this whole thing somewhat to the situation with COVID-19 and the way that it exploits the pre-existing conditions within a body to do damage. And I think within our society, we have a lot of pre-existing conditions that this situation is preying upon.
Donald Trump seems to almost thrive off the daily battles that he engages in. But do you think this time he's actually worried where this all might be going?
I'm... You know, you can't make a living trying to guess what Donald Trump is thinking and feeling, can you? And it seems that he is, again, propping up this character that he has built to be Donald J. Trump, rather than, and he would prefer that to being a president of the United States that calms, unites, heals, all of those things that you would normally expect from an executive sitting in the Oval Office. But I don't know which is sadder, the fact that you can ask that as a posable question, or the fact that I have no idea what the answer to that question actually is.
Michael, Barack Obama says that things can't go back to normal, that the country can and has to do better. How hopeful are you that there will actually be meaningful change after this?
Well, I always have hope that things can get better. Will it get better because of what's happening now, what's happening tonight, what's happened for the last 4 or 5 nights? In my lifetime, I see and learn that a single woman refusing to stand up on a bus created change. 6 boys sitting down at a lunch counter and insisting that they be served like anybody else. That created change. But I can't point to an instance where violence and rioting and a social tantrum like this actually created change. It would be interesting and necessary to see how we take this and turn it into the type of institutional and societal change that will really take us forward to where we think that we want to be, but we certainly are not tonight.
Michael, we always appreciate your insight. Thanks for joining us this evening.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
My mum had a thick American accent. She was a really proud American. If she was alive to see this, she would be absolutely devastated. You know, the land of the free, the home of the brave. You know, it's just so sad to see.
I'm sure a lot of Americans right now feel exactly the same way. All right, taking a look now at today's other top stories. COVID restrictions will be eased on restaurants, bars, beauty salons, churches and more in New South Wales, Victoria and South Australia from tomorrow. The same goes for Queensland, where residents will also be permitted to travel freely across the state. But with active cases in New South Wales and Victoria, Queensland still remains a closed shop.
The border will remain closed for the month of June. And at the end of June, we will actively consider all of the circumstances across the nation.
The federal government's having a second go at a domestic violence inquiry, and this time it'll even consider the impact of COVID-19. Its first attempt failed miserably, ending this month without any public submissions or hearings. It had been set up following the murders of Hannah Clark and her children at the hands of her estranged husband.
I think it reminded Australians that we're sickened by the statistics and we're sick of the slaughter in our suburbs. Things have to change.
And Victoria's pubs and restaurants will finally be able to reopen tomorrow, but how would you feel if they added a COVID-19 surcharge to your bill? Some US restaurants are adding up to 26% to bills to help them stay afloat. But while some food critics say they'd gladly pay the extra, others say it's greedy.
What do we think about this? I get it at one level, but it can't be compulsory, surely. You'd have to be told beforehand.
I mean, PVO, you know what level I get this on. I will pay anything at the moment to never have to eat my cooking ever again.
So you're all in.
I think if it's optional, if they put on the bill, you know, 5%, 10%, up to 25%, I think there's a lot of people who just don't want to be pushed into it, but recognise how difficult it's been for establishments.
Yeah, well, not even not pushed into it, but unable to pay a surcharge. And I think that a lot of people would want to support businesses around their local area if they could, but sometimes a surcharge might push them out of that sort of pay bracket.
Because they're already doing it tough themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, don't forget, if people stop tipping because they pay the COVID surcharge, then the waiters and waitresses are going to miss out on that extra money that they rely on too.
Yeah, we just hope people do the right thing.
Yeah.
Guys, with the world falling apart, did you almost forget what weekend it is? Do you guys know what weekend this is?
Last weekend in May?
Yeah.
No, it's the bloody Uluru Camel Cup, guys. Here is the final seconds of the race. Take a look.
Golden Nugget putting the pressure on, but Tex is too good. Ladies and gentlemen, Tex taking out the cup. Golden Nugget into second. And Tim Tam into third.
Tim Tam came third. And here is the winner. She's a good old-fashioned German migrant who's been living in the Northern Territory for 4 years. And what does she reckon got her over the line?
Was there any other sort of techniques that I suppose you've learnt through the day that actually you think that really sort of brought you across the line?
I think my German accent is probably pretty helpful because it sounds a bit more scary than the Australian one. So I think maybe that was it.
Yeah, it's an interesting story for the winning camel, isn't it? Getting back to the other camels and going, guys, you won't believe what happened today. A German woman sat on me and whipped me. And then we go, Barry, you sicko, what have you been up to?
OK, on that note, we're going to go to a break. We'll be back in a moment.
Coming up, Tommy chats with lovable astronaut Chris Hadfield about today's historic SpaceX launch. And her new album is out of this world. I Get the Goss with Lady Gaga.
I love my Australian fans so much. I miss you. I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world.
This is The Sunday Project.
Wonderful. I love it. Wacky. Ice cream.
We want you to blow our minds with amazing combos. Jess, what are you thinking?
Kind of pairing licorice dark chocolate with basil.
Say what?
The most emotional episode of the season.
It has been an utter pleasure to watch you cook the most incredible creations, but now it's time to say goodbye.
The ice cream elimination. Next.
An order for Lego. Someone's in for some fun. Bet you love toys. You're childish.
Oh, I'm not.
NIB members can now access and claim on telehealth consultations for a range of services included in their extras cover, such as physiotherapy, dietetics, psychology and more. Stay healthy at home. Search NIB today.
Let's do it, baby. It's on, mate.
Make this Saturday one to remember. Get best tote on all exotics on every race across all Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Adelaide races. PointsBet.
At Bunnings, we've got some great craft bundles to help you keep busy while you're safe at home. Simply check out the projects online, order over the phone using our DIY hotline, and we'll bundle up everything you need. We'll then deliver it to your door.
Drive now, pay later on selected Volkswagen Amaroks and vans. Hit the ground rolling with your first 3 monthly repayments on us. Plus, get a 1.99% interest rate.
Volkswagen.
Save a massive 20 to 50% off store-wide at Spotlight. Yes, 20 to 50% off Manchester home decor, fabrics, craft, party curtains and blinds store-wide. So decorate it, celebrate it and create it for less. Sale starts tomorrow. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
Chloe and Zoe are twins and Amy customers, so you have the same taste.
We love our HD, LED, LCD, 4K, Pixel TVs. Oh, and Barney and Rubble love the dog channel.
Do you choose to save now or later on your insurance?
Later.
Buy a home or car insurance policy and Amy Flexi Premiums lets you vary your excess to save now or later. Choose a higher excess to save now or choose a lower excess to save at claim time.
You're with Amy.
We're coming to you live from the scene. Tell us what you've got there. Toilet paper?
Nah, just dinner stuff.
Right. You must have paid an unprecedented price for that during these unprecedented times.
Nah, they're from Aldi. Prices are always low. Let's just go.
Whatever happens, our low prices are here to stay. Aldi. Good. Different.
If you're married to someone like this, there's only one thing to do.
Emily Butler, author of soon-to-be bestseller, My Husband.
Wow, that's definitely Greg.
It's got to be this one.
You're right. Print it.
How to Stay Married, Tuesday.
Welcome back to the Sunday Project. I don't know about you guys, but I got up really early to watch something awesome this morning. The first manned US space launch since NASA's space shuttle program was permanently grounded in 2011. Hold on to your asses, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for takeoff.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA. Go SpaceX. Godspeed, bottom dog.
Wow, did you know it's taken 18 years, or more than half my life, for NASA and Elon Musk's SpaceX to get to this moment right now? Strapping two guys into what is basically a 229-foot tall cylindrical bomb and shooting them into space, or as it's officially called, SpaceX Demo 2. And who better to talk to about it than a man who's not only been to space, but he's played guitar in space. Commander Chris Hadfield. Commander Chris Hadfield, I'm very excited to talk to you because the launch went well. Is that a nerve-wracking experience for you watching that?
Tommy, it is more nerve-wracking by far to watch it than it is to be on board. Because when you're on board, you can do things. You've got the controls in front of you. You know what you're up to. But when you're in the distance, all you can really do is hope and clench and unclench your fists. And so yeah, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. But the machinery worked great today. The crew is ready, and they're on their way up to space station. It's a great thing.
The Falcon 9 rocket, including the Dragon crew capsule that sits on top of it, have been tested and tested and tested until they were safe enough to carry veteran astronauts Doug Hurley and Bob Behnken to the International Space Station for this last major test to prove that commercial, manned US space launches are safe and viable. So after that launch is successful, what's it like being strapped into the rocket? What are they going through in those moments after launch?
So imagine what that ride is like. From sitting there in your chair to going 17,500 miles an hour in just 8.5 minutes. So it crushes you. It shakes you. The vehicle has to steer its way up through the air, and it's relentless, as if more and more people are piling on top of you and keeping you from breathing, until finally at the end of it, the engine shuts off and you're weightless.
And do you have to empty out your body in the lead up to that? I imagine if you've just had a big drink beforehand, that's just going to rock around your system.
You go out to the spaceship about 3 or 4 hours before launch. And also, typically when you get to space, a lot of people get kind of motion sick up there or feel nauseous. So you know, what I recommend to people is don't eat anything that you don't want to see again soon.
And this is the first time that a space launch has been by a private company. Is this exciting for the world of space travel, or is it seen as it's selling out?
Well, you know, even back in the 1960s, the astronauts said that, you know, you have to remember that the rocket that's underneath me, every single piece was built by the lowest bidder, right? I mean, those rockets were all built by private companies. This is a big, professional, proven company that is building hardware that NASA pays for, that then NASA astronauts fly on.
There will be people that will watch a launch today and they'll think, in the current state of the world, with a global pandemic, with America literally on fire due to race relations and police brutality, they would ask, why are we spending this money? And what would you say to those people?
I don't know at what point in history we were waiting in order to do magnificent things. You know, are we waiting for the world to become perfect so that then we can explore? And I think there's also a perception that the money is spent in space or something. It's spent paying wages and driving the edge of technology. I mean, think how much you rely on the space technology that exists because we were willing to do that exploration. If you're using a GPS, or if you're talking on an integrated circuit and talking on your phone, or if you're taking the temperature of your baby in their ear. So yeah, you can stay at home and complain and gripe and wait for things to be perfect to try and do something, but then you'll never get anything worthwhile done.
You've hung up the helmet now, but do you watch a launch like today's and do you wish a bit that was you, or are you just happy to see someone else doing it?
I'm really happy to see someone else doing it. I was an astronaut for 21 years. I was only in space for 6 months, and I've flown in space 3 times. You know, it's more than I could have ever dreamed or imagined I'd have a chance to do. But everything in your life eventually ends, and you need to accept that. And there are stages to your life, and I love all the things I'm up to right now. I helped that flight succeed today. The work that I did over my 21 years. So I take pride in it. And if I get a chance to fly in space again, I'll take it.
Commander Chris Hadfield, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, Tommy. Hopefully our connection was good enough. It was a real pleasure to be talking to you today.
That has got to be the coolest profession ever. Back with more Sunday Project in just a moment.
Wonderful.
I love it.
Weird. Ice cream.
We want you to blow our minds with amazing combos.
Strawberry and wasabi.
It is exactly what we're looking for. Give me more of that. I love it.
Corn and miso.
Flavour combination is bang on, bang on.
I think this challenge is going to be really up my alley.
Jess, what are you thinking?
Kind of pairing licorice dark chocolate with basil.
Say what?
It's a little bit weird. Basil and licorice.
Will this crazy flavour
lead to the most emotional episode of the season?
It has been an utter pleasure to watch you cook the most incredible creations, but now it's time to say goodbye.
The wonderful, weird, wacky ice cream elimination. Next.
Join AHM Hospital and Extras Direct and you'll get 6 weeks free. Plus, we'll waive any 2 and 6 month waits on extras.
Yay!
Whether you're a single, a couple, or a family. It's that simple. That doesn't look very simple. Offer ends June 30. Find out more and join AHM Direct today. AHM, the simple bit.
I drive a lot. I build stuff, pull things, push things, and I hit things. And then I carry stuff.
What do you do again?
I drive a Hilux.
Australia's #1 selling vehicle, 4 years running. Oh, what a feeling. Toyota.
Save a massive 20 to 50% off store-wide at Spotlight. Yes, 20 to 50% off Manchester home decor, fabrics, craft, party curtains and blinds store-wide. So decorate it, celebrate it and create it for less. Sale starts tomorrow. At Spotlight, it's what you make it.
This week, Abigail Thomas took office as the first woman to be named Chief of Police in the history of our city.
You can call me Tommy. How do I look?
You look like the Chief of Police.
The new series, Tommy, premieres 8:45 Wednesday on 10.
This program brought to you by AHM Health Insurance. AHM, the simple bit.
Welcome back. You're watching The Sunday Project. And guys, it was so great to be able to chat with Chris Hadfield. He's such an amazing man. And then, Elise, we got your interview with Lady Gaga coming up. What a way to finish the show.
Big finish.
I mean, bang. And this is usually the time where I do the lockdown, right? But because we're coming out of restrictions, we're not locked down anymore. We're outside, guys. And what could go possibly wrong when you're outside? OK, I'll just do a double backflip off here, and this will be fine. Oh no! Yeah, guys, if you're gonna get into water, don't jump into water. Just ride your bike into it, so nothing can go wrong. Okay, and this should be fine. Oh gosh. Oh, outside is tough, guys, because particularly if you're playing sport, how do you maintain social distancing? Well, this German soccer league, they decided everybody having trolleys would help. That's right, trolleys. OK. Yeah.
That's clever.
Just means you can have no contact with each other. But as you'll see in a minute, if you boot a trolley, I reckon it really hurts. Yeah, I know. It's good for soccer. A nightmare if you're trying to go to the supermarket, though.
Good practice, though. Well, before coronavirus turned the world on its head, I was lucky enough to sit down with none other than Lady Gaga at her home studio in LA. At the time, the superstar was just weeks out from the release of her new album. Well, it's taken a little longer than expected, but Chromatica is finally here.
No one heard you say this, but you do not look like a secretary. You look very beautiful and like a strong, confident, amazing woman. And
I feel very conservative in this outfit.
That's because I have no pants on and I'm wearing a leather jacket.
And you look great.
Thank you.
There aren't too many musicians who can boast the success of Lady Gaga. Over the past 12 years, she's sold a whopping 35 million albums, featuring hit after hit after hit.
Super Bowl 51!
there's more where that came from with the long-awaited release of her 6th studio album, Chromatica.
It's an album that was made from a lot of pain. You know, I was really suffering. It was a mystery to me how I could be so sad and then write something so happy. Every day that I would come down into this studio, I would say that I would open this portal, you know, into the other realm, and I would listen to hear inspiration and really hear, you know, not only what are the stories that I want to tell about my life, but what are the stories that I want to tell about my life that can help other people dance through their pain.
It's fitting, given that Lady Gaga was born out of pain, an alter ego for bullied teenager Stephanie Germanotta.
I know you were badly bullied in high school. I was too, so I can really relate to a lot of your lyrics.
It stays with you your whole life.
It absolutely does. And I wonder what effect it has on Lady Gaga sitting opposite me now.
I remember things that my bully said to me in front of other people, and no one said anything. Nobody said to me, "Are you okay? Are you fine?" In fact, if I were to speak up about a bully being mean to me, it would just make it harder for me at school. Being bullied has taught me the importance of spreading kindness in the world, because it's something that we can fix.
Over the years, Lady Gaga shrugged off the bullies and made a name for herself as a confident and, at times, eccentric performer.
I never thought I'd be asking Cher to hold my meat purse. Even though I might wear skimpy outfits sometimes, and, you know, I'm sitting here with no pants on with my big shoes, you know, my definition of beauty has always been very against the grain, and I just dressed like how I felt like dressing today, how I wanted to do my hair, how I wanted my makeup to look. But I would never want to send a message to anyone, especially a young person, that you have to be perfect in any type of physical way in order to be a beautiful person. I didn't get here because I'm pretty. Like, I'm not a supermodel. I make music, and it's this and my heart. It was my brain and my heart that got me here, and a lot of hard work.
Don't call my name, don't call my name.
You know, somebody that I love very much in my life, he's a straight male who thinks very highly of me. I'm lucky to have him in my life. He said, "You very authentically go from outfit to look, and you change all the time, but you're always you, and you don't place your value on your look." And it really meant a lot to me, because I felt like I was really seen as a person. And it was really nice that I felt like I wasn't being objectified by a man.
If Lady Gaga's music prowess isn't enough, she's also made her mark in Hollywood, most notably as Ally in the 2018 remake of A Star Is Born.
We're far from the shallow now.
Holy shit.
Director and co-star Bradley Cooper handpicked Gaga for the role.
Can I tell you about a straight male that I was talking to about 18 months ago by the name of Bradley Cooper? When A Star Is Born was being released, he spoke so incredibly warmly about you. He just knew that that role was for you.
You know, Bradley is an incredible actor, so honed in on his craft, and I thought to myself, can I go toe-to-toe with Bradley Cooper? Because when I think about doing a scene, you know, you've really got to be in there, and I have studied acting, but this was my first real big role, and I couldn't believe that he believed in me like that.
All you got to do is trust me. That's all you got to do.
What helped was that I believed in him as a musician, because when he opened his mouth to sing, I remember I looked at him and I said, "Bradley, you can do this. Like, you can play a rock star." I think it was that exchange that made me feel like, okay, I can do this. I can do this because I believe in him and he believes in me. We're gonna do this. We're gonna go now. He treated me like a real actress, and because he treated me like one, I showed up like one.
While she's not ruled out a return to the big screen, for now, Lady Gaga's focusing on her music. She's gone back to her pop roots, collaborating with some pretty famous friends.
What was it like working with Ariana Grande?
You know, Ariana is amazing. I think she's got like one of the most beautiful voices that I've ever heard.
The pair teamed up for Rain on Me, the second song off Chromatica.
We really bonded over that song. I asked her to come in to listen to it and see if she wanted to be on it, and she was so great. She basically said that she'd be on it before she even heard the song.
Despite the pandemic, Lady Gaga's keen to hit the road with her new album as soon as possible, and she's got Australia in her sights.
I can't wait to come back to Australia. I love my Australian fans so much. I miss you. I love Australia, period. I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world.
Well, the love is reciprocated in enormous ways, and we can't wait to see you back in Australia eventually.
Thank you so much. I will be there.
So great to meet you.
Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you.
Mwah.
Gorgeous interview, but she went in for the hug with you, Lisa Wilkinson.
Well, I was kind of, I mean, you could see her body language. She engages with people in a really meaningful way when she came in for the hug. So I'm never hugging anyone again, and I haven't, because I realised today she is the last person I hugged outside of my husband.
Is that right?
It's the last
because
hug
it was
I've
lockdown
had.
straight after, wasn't it?
Yeah,
right.
Haven't washed this body since. Now, Lady Gaga's new album, Chromatica, is out right now. I don't know if you've heard many of the songs. They are all going straight to #1. Rain on Me with Ariana Grande is an absolute knockout. Great stuff.
Even I know Lady Gaga songs. Like,
well,
even I do.
Doesn't get much better than
one by one. All right, that's all we've got time for tonight. Stick with us, though. MasterChef is up next.
Both of them are. Stay safe and have a great night.